Ladies and gents, I am the one and only DJ Storms. Welcome back to the channel here on YouTube.com. It is, of course, Monday, November 9th, 2020. We are 2 days removed from AEW Full Gear 2020, which, of course, streamed live on Bleacher Report and all other pay-per-view platforms on Saturday, November 7th. Of course, with the buy-in pre-show starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for joining me back here. Of course, you already know who I am. Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter known to mankind. I had a few days to sit on everything, to get my thoughts together, and I would have gotten it out a little sooner. I would have gotten it out on Sunday, to be honest with you, but it was way too late by the time Full Gear pay-per-view actually ended, and a lot of people have been complaining about the fact that the pay-per-view does start at 8, and they wish the pay-per-view was a little bit shorter. But I had work yesterday from 2 to 9. They actually tacked on some hours, considering that Thursday I'm actually going to be off of work because I have to get a flu shot and I got a doctor's appointment. And on top of that, I still have college work to get done. I need to get a couple of case studies done concerning my business strategy and policy course. Instead of a final, it's a couple of case studies that I need to read and I need to dissect. On top of that, there's a couple of finals for auditing and business law, advanced accounting. Obviously, that's a bitch. So, a lot of shit to go over, a lot of shit to get settled in, and a lot of shit to submit. But regardless, I'm still here. I am here to get the content out that you guys deserve, the best possible wrestling analytical content that you guys will ever see in the IWC. So, of course, you come here to the DJ Storms channel. First things first, I actually do want to apologize for the technical difficulties that we have seen on the Lightning Flash update in the last few weeks. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm not sure if it's my cell phone. It's probably my cell phone and the fact that it just runs super fucking slow. Obviously, the iOS updates are absolute fucking bullshit when it comes to the quality of the phone, and it does absolutely fucking nothing to enhance the quality of the phone. Matter of fact, the iOS updates probably include more bugs, which obviously slow down the phone and obviously make you buy a new phone. Swear, Apple's a bunch of fucking scammers. And any technical company's a bunch of fucking scammers. What the fuck am I talking about? It's a very, very sleazy business. A lot of businesses are very sleazy nowadays. But regardless of that, I believe it may have something to do with the Wi-Fi as well. I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi connection is kind of shady with my phone. But regardless of that, I'm still going to do whatever I can to get the best possible content out there for you guys. But I do want to apologize for the technical difficulties and the connection issues. I'm not sure what's going on. I was at my normal location, like my original location, but now I'm back in the normal Storms Lair. I call it the Storms Lair, at least. It was once called the Storm Stream Lair, now it's the Storms Lair. Storms' Lair, we're going to call it from here on out. Coming up with new shit on the fly. But we're here to talk about Full Gear. We're not here to talk about connection issues or sleazy technical companies or cheesy new nicknames for everything that is related to me. AEW Full Gear. I would say AEW Full Gear was a damn near grand slam. I almost said gland slam. I'm not sure why the fuck I said gland slam. Probably from all the fucking work that I did the other day. But AEW Full Gear 2020 was a damn near grand slam pay-per-view. Everything was laid out damn near perfectly. We had some excellent wrestling, some excellent storytelling, right outcomes. Every match got the proper amount of time. We did have a few blips. Here and there, and we are going to dissect the blips. We're going to dissect the overwhelmingly positive material. We're going to dissect where the winners and the losers could potentially go. We are going to dissect everything related to AEW Full Gear. And before we get into that, obviously, we need to get through the obvious self-promotion and the self-brand advertisements, as you know. Self-brand promotion and advertisements. Of course, follow me on the Twitter sticks at HistoryMakerDJS. I know a lot of you are already doing that, but if you aren't, please follow me on the Twitter sticks at HistoryMakerDJS, and you'll find out why I am the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known to mankind. Of course, follow me on Instagram and Periscope at TheDJStorms. I'm thinking about doing some Periscope live streams and doing some chill streams. Really just putting myself out there as an individual rather than a brand and a character, really to give you guys an insight into my life, if you know what I mean. So I'm planning on doing that. As we get into the Thanksgiving season and as we get into December. Of course, add me on Facebook as well, and for collaborations and business inquiries, if you're interested in collaborating with me. Please send me an email. My email is stormstakeover@gmail.com. You like the official DJ Storms business page on Facebook, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That ends, we are nearing 100 members. So if you want access to the elite group of DJ Storms Posse members, only the elite join the DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook, that is. No pun intended, because we are reviewing an All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view, but if you want access to the elite group of DJ Storms Posse administration members and supporters, please like the official DJ Storms business page, and I'll send you an invite to join that group on Facebook. We are nearing 100 members. You could be one of the lucky individuals that helps us get to 100 members. Of course, you can post whatever you want as long as you stay within the guidelines. So please go check out all the links. They are in the description. If you missed the Lightning Flash update from last week, aside from the connection issues and the glitches, we did have a very successful Lightning Flash update on Saturday afternoon before AEW Full Gear. We dissected all the weekly wrestling shows, minus 205 Live. I haven't gone back and rewatched 205 Live, but we actually have a Fatal 5-Way Tag Team match going down next week on 205 Live. Well, actually, this week, technically. Technically, this week on 205 Live after SmackDown. And the winners will then face each other to determine a new number one contender for Santos Escobar's Cruiserweight Championship. So they are slowly trying to get 205 Live back into the swing of things, but to be quite honest with you, I don't think that 205 Live is going to get back into the swing of things that it was in before the start of the pandemic, because they were putting on some great shows before the start of the pandemic. We had Jordan Devlin on there, we had Leo Rush on there. Jordan Devlin's stuck in the UK, Leo Rush ain't even with the company anymore. So I don't think that 205 Live is going to benefit too much from what's going on right now, no matter if they decide to put some effort into it, but that's another story for another time. But please go check out the Lightning Flash update. The link is in the description if you missed it. We dissected Kylie Ray's retirement from professional wrestling. We dissected potential plans for Raquel Gonzalez to be a major player, as she is actually a fan favorite backstage. And on top of that, Aleister Black actually was slated to win the United States title from Andrade, but plans changed, so I gave my thoughts and opinions on that. Please go check that out. The link to the Lightning Flash update from Saturday, if you missed it, is in the description. We are almost 10 minutes into this video, and if you guys have not liked the video, what the fuck are you doing? You gotta hit that like button. Hit the like button, because I got goals I want to reach. I want to get into the eyes of many other people. And in order to do that, my videos need to be liked. My videos need to gain the likes. So we need to get at least 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. I want to gain all the likes I can possibly get. So please, at least help me get to 20 or 25 likes. It's not that hard. It's super easy. Okay? So please, hit the like button if you haven't already done so. And when you hit that like button, keep the chat going. Of course, This right here is a live premiere, so please, please, please keep the chat going, spark up the conversation, talk amongst me, talk amongst the DJ Storms posse members. And of course, when you keep the chat alive, you got to make sure you share it out on all platforms of social media, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Pinterest, whether it be Tumblr, whether it be whatever the fuck you use. You gotta make sure you share out the stream on all platforms of social media, so your mothers, your fathers, your grandfathers, your grandmothers, your aunts, your uncles, your children's, your grandchildren's children's, your dogs' children's, your cat's children's, your guinea pig's children's, your ferret's children's will all flock to DJ Storms. I'm like a magnet. And of course, when you keep the chat going and when you share out the stream, you gotta be sure that you hit the subscribe button, as I am trying to gain all the possible attention on the planet. I'm trying to gain more supporters. I'm trying to grow and expand. And in order to do that, I need you guys to help me by hitting the subscribe button. And when you hit the subscribe button, you got to make sure you hit the notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is, of course, the best time to be on YouTube. It is the only time, and I know that this is everybody's favorite part right here. It is the only time where you get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. Is there even a question if I have it? Of course I have it. Uh-huh. Everybody wants a piece of the Storms Meister. Anyway, enough of the self-brand promotion and the advertisements. We got through what we needed to get through. We are going to get straight into the matches here on the Rewind for AEW Full Gear 2020, and we are going to start with the buy-in pre-show. We had Serena Deeb versus Allison Kay. This was for the NWA Women's World Championship. Now, this was Allison Kay's AEW debut. Allison Kay announced that she is a free agent, and here she is vying for the NWA Women's World Championship again against the new champion, Serena Deeb. Now, I have been loving the official/unofficial partnership with NWA and AEW, but a lot of people have been expressing the concern that the NWA Women's World Championship is actually receiving more of a spotlight than the AEW Women's World Championship, and you're right. You're right on that, absolutely. And I do hope that Allison Kay, especially after this showcase, because this was a very good showcase for both Allison Kay and Serena Deeb, I do hope that Allison Kay does get signed. Allison Kay, if she works on her timing a little bit. Now, this match was a very good showcase for both women. This set the pace very, very nicely for the rest of the show. But Allison Kay, I'm not sure if you noticed that she was a little off on her timing in that match. Nothing overbearingly negative, but just a little off on her timing. I don't know if it's me just nitpicking, but I felt that she was off on her timing just a little bit. But if she can work on her timing just a little bit, it's nothing too major. I think she could be a great asset to the AEW women's division. But this was a very nice showcase for both Serena Deeb and Allison Kay. NWA Women's Championship on the line. Deeb with a hangman's neck breaker on the rope to Allison Kay. Kay with a punt kick for a 2. A little bit of a sloppy looking punt kick. But Kay recovered. Deeb with a backstabber. Kay then with a very nice sit-out choke bomb for a 2 count. We had a double clothesline and both women are down. Deeb then mounted a comeback. We had a swinging neck breaker. She kept the grip. Then she hit a hangman's neck breaker. That only got a 2 count on Allison Kay. Allison Kay picked her up with an Alabama slam. Then she hit the AK-47, which is the TKO, a modified version of the Dominator. She calls it the AK-47. She hit the AK-47, which is her finisher, but Serena Deeb rolled out of the ring. Deeb then was actually on the receiving end of Kay rolling her back into the ring. Deeb then recovered and hit Allison Kay with a dragon screw on the ropes. Deeb then hit a modified arm trap Styles Clash, which looked great. But Kay was able to get her foot on the rope. Deeb then fought Allison Kay into the middle of the ring and locked in the Serenity Lock, aka the Tequila Sunrise. She calls it the Serenity Lock, and Allison Kay taps out. This was a damn good showcase for both women. And then afterwards, Thunder Rosa's music hit, and Thunder Rosa came out. She made her way to the ring, and they had a stare down, which obviously means that Thunder Rosa is obviously not done with the NWA Women's World Championship, and we are possibly looking at Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb in a rematch, and more likely than not, it's going to happen on AEW television, which is going to be a damn good showcase for both women. Like I said in the beginning, I like the unofficial and official partnership with NWA and AEW, how they are having their women come in and give us great women's wrestling on Dynamite. However, the AEW Women's World Championship and that division as a whole really doesn't have much of a showcase, and that really hampered down the Women's World Championship match, which we will talk about in a little bit. I like the fact that NWA is continuing to get more exposure, and I'm glad that the women are given a place to work, and they are given television time on a major platform like TNT. But at the end of the day, AEW definitely needs to start focusing on their women's division, especially going into 2021, which we'll talk about more when we get to Shida and Nyla Rose. But these two women, Serena Deeb and Allison Kay, set the pace very, very nicely for the rest of the night. This is a very good showcase. Went about 10 minutes and 45 seconds, and Serena Deeb retains the NWA Women's World Championship. The main show started off with Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page in the finals of the World Title Eliminator Tournament. This was an excellent fucking match, and for the majority of the show, this was the match of the night, at least until the Young Bucks and FTR had their tag team match. But Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page, they brought everything that they had to the table for 17 minutes, and they gave you an excellent, excellent, excellent match. I'm actually surprised that this match opened the show, because whoever followed this match, doesn't matter whether you put this match on at the beginning of the show, in the middle of the show, or towards the end of the show, whoever followed this match was going to have a very, 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 very tough time following this match. Hangman and Kenny absolutely tore the house down in this one for 17 minutes, and this match got the perfect amount of time as well. And a lot of people were saying it could have gone another 10 minutes, but in reality, you don't want to do that on a pay-per-view like this, especially when A, it starts at 8 o'clock, B, you have 7 other matches to get through, and you want to make sure each match gets the proper amount of time, so you don't want to put 10 minutes on this match just to shave off 10 minutes from another match, if you know what I'm saying. So this match went the perfect amount of time. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega gave you an excellent match here. They started off very physical and aggressive right out of the gate. Omega was on the outside. He was tossed into the railing on the floor, and he did a moonsault, a springboard moonsault off the railing onto Hangman Adam Page. That looked great. Page then came back with a springboard clothesline, sending Omega off the apron. Omega then sent Page to the floor and hit the beautiful Rise of the Terminator Tope Con Hero. Page then got caught with a V-trigger. Omega was brawling with Page out on the ramp. Both men were out on the ramp, and Page hit a pop-up powerbomb on the ramp. Omega's head looked like it fucking bounced off the ramp like a fucking basketball. Looked brutal there. Then we had another pop-up powerbomb in the ring. That only got a 2 count. We had a nice sequence here. We had a rolling elbow by Adam Hangman Page. Kenny shook that off and hit a V-trigger right under the chin. Then hit the Tiger Driver 98 for a 2 count. Hangman Adam Page, he fought through the pain after Omega hit him with a Snapdragon suplex. Page then with a beautiful lariat, and he hit the Deadeye. But Omega kicked out. Page then rolled Omega up again. That only got a close 2 count. Page then missed the buckshot lariat. Omega with 2 V-triggers. And then Omega eventually hit the one winged angel. And Kenny Omega wins an excellent opening contest. I did not see this kicking off the show. I actually called Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara in the Ultimate Deletion, or the Elite Deletion, to kick off the show. But these two gave you an excellent opener. I am very proud to have watched that. Definitely one of the best matches of 2020. Definitely one of the best matches of the pandemic era. Very fitting, because this pay-per-view, to many, will go down as the best pay-per-view of the pandemic era thus far. Now, a lot of people are wondering where Kenny and Hangman go from here. I'm going to tell you where they go from here. Kenny Omega is going on the heel run of his life. I've said this once and I'm going to say it again. Kenny Omega is on the verge of going on the heel run of his life. We have seen Omega in three matches since the split with Adam Hangman Page, and already we have had two Match of the Year candidates with Kenny and Penta El Cero Miedo, and now Kenny and Hangman Adam Page, and we're about to see another one with Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. Kenny Omega, he is on the verge of going on the heel run of his life. We're not there yet. He didn't turn full-blown heel, as we've stated before, or as they've stated before. Kenny is still trying to find out who Kenny Omega really is. But sooner rather than later, he's going to find out who Kenny Omega really is, and he is going to go on the heel run of his life. He's going to face off against Jon Moxley in the next month and a half. I do not see them waiting 4 months towards Revolution, because after a certain point in time, you would have done all that you could have possibly done to build up to that match, and I don't think that people are going to that people are going to be so patient as to wait 4 months to Revolution. Matter of fact, I think that this is going to happen sometime between now and Christmas. I would assume that this would probably happen on the last Dynamite show of 2020, the last live Dynamite show at least, considering that I do believe that they're probably going to tape 2 episodes, because we do have one episode taking place on December 23rd, and then we got another episode taking place on December 30th, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think that they're going to wait until Revolution. I think this is going to happen on Dynamite in the middle of December, and that's when Kenny's going to take the title off of Jon Moxley, and Kenny Omega will become the new AEW World Champion, and he will go into 2021 as the World Champion. As far as Adam Hangman Page goes, the story and the feel-good moment is going to come from the journey. And Adam Hangman Page right now, he is probably one of the most organic baby faces that you will find in professional wrestling right now. Everyone loves Adam Hangman Page, and you can clearly tell, because the 1,000 people that they had in attendance for Dynamite definitely voiced their love and appreciation for Adam Hangman Page when his music hit. So you know that Adam Hangman Page is going to be a big baby face, and they are saving Adam Hangman Page's big moment for when crowds come back. And when crowds come back, Adam Hangman Page is going to be built up as the top babyface of 2021. And Adam Hangman Page is going to go into 2021, and he is going to face off against Kenny Omega, more likely than not, Labor Day weekend at All Out of 2021. And that is when Adam Hangman Page is going to become the AEW World Champion. But this was an excellent contest to open the show. Went the perfect amount of time. Kenny Omega wins, rightfully so. He is going to be challenging for the AEW World Championship very soon, and he will be your new champion. Orange Cassidy versus John Silver. Now, we all know that Orange Cassidy's great. We all know that Orange Cassidy's had perhaps one of the biggest breakout years out of any superstar in the wrestling industry. It's easy to pick out someone like a Keith Lee, or someone like a Damian Priest, someone like an MJF, someone like a Darby Allin. But if we're going to talk about someone who really came from nothing and really opened a lot of eyes this year especially, Orange Cassidy opened a lot of eyes this year. Great match with Pac at Revolution. We had a great feud with Jericho, which culminated with Orange Cassidy beating Jericho not once but twice. We had a great match with Cassidy and Cody. We had a great match with Cassidy and Brody Lee. And now Orange Cassidy is on a pay-per-view yet again, facing off against John Silver. So we know that Orange Cassidy is going to be one of the shining stars of AEW in the next few years. He's going to be a TNT champion. He could possibly be a world champion. You never know. He could possibly be a world champion. MJF is going to need baby faces to feud with. He could possibly be feuding with Orange Cassidy once he wins the world championship. But Orange Cassidy, we already know, is great. We already know that he's legit. But John Silver, this was John Silver's best match in AEW to date. And I am very, very, very impressed with John Silver. I did not think that John Silver was going to be anything of substance in AEW. Yes, I knew that he was a very good wrestler, but I did not think that he would go anywhere in the Dark Order. I did not see him or Alex Reynolds being anything of importance in the Dark Order. I thought that they were just going to be there in the Dark Order. I thought they were just going to be two good wrestlers with no substance, two good wrestlers with no direction, with a very, very, very small ceiling. But John Silver proved here. John Silver proved here that he can go. John Silver is very, very, very underrated. John Silver, he is a great fucking professional wrestler. And if they want to, they could definitely get behind John Silver. And I would actually love to see John Silver in a more prominent role because of how good he is in the ring. This was a damn good match. And considering the very, very, very tough spot that these two were put in following that Omega Paige match, these two did a damn good job. So kudos to both of these two for putting on a damn good match, especially after that Paige Omega Classic. So Cassidy was toying with Silver early, putting his hands in his pockets. He did the light shin kicks. Silver, he got frustrated, and this was the LOL moment of the night for many people. Silver tore Cassidy's pockets out of his pants. He was holding them up, and then he started eating them, and then he spit them out. Now, a lot of people were laughing over that, so they got some comedy. They got some comedy out of the way in the beginning. Silver then took advantage. He hit some stiff kicks to Orange Cassidy. Silver's kicks are fucking stiff, and when I say stiff, I mean stiff. Like, I would not want to be on the receiving end of John Silver's kicks. They're stiffer than Daniel Bryan's yes kicks. That's saying something. They put Daniel Bryan's yes kicks to shame. And I don't even believe I'm saying that. So, Cassidy then came back with a big diving crossbody off the top, hit a beautiful satellite DDT for a 2 count. Silver with a brutal running punt kick. Love Silver's running punt kick. Cassidy was then being set up for the spin doctor, the torture rack spin bomb. But Cassidy did a Hurricane Rana counter out of it and then hit a Michinoku driver for a 2 count. Cassidy was then hit with some more stiff kicks. Silver tried for a suplex, but Cassidy hit the Stun Dog Millionaire. Silver then was able to hit Spin Doctor anyway. He fought through the pain after he was hit with the Stun Dog Millionaire, and he hit the Spin Doctor, spun Orange Cassidy around like a motherfucking propeller. Cassidy landed hard. I actually love the fucking Spin Doctor. It looks beautiful. He hit Spin Doctor, but Cassidy still stayed alive. Cassidy then ducked the clothesline from Silver, hit the Orange Punch and the Beach Break, and Orange Cassidy wins a damn good match. Damn good stuff following that Paige Omega match. Like I said, both of these two deserve a standing ovation. These two put on a very, very, very good match. This undoubtedly was the sleeper match of the night. And this match is a match that not a lot of people are going to be talking about, but it should definitely be talked about a little bit more. Orange Cassidy and John Silver, two great professional wrestlers. Orange Cassidy gets the win, as he should, on pay-per-view, and Orange Cassidy's stock continues to rise. Orange Cassidy continues to grow. Orange Cassidy continues to resonate with the audience, and Orange Cassidy is going to be a major player in AEW within the next few years. Believe that. We had Cody Rhodes. Yes, Cody Rhodes. WWE finally dropped the trademark of Cody Rhodes, and now Cody has his name back, and Cody, you can clearly see the happiness in Cody's face when Justin Roberts announced him as Cody Rhodes. very, very happy to hear that Cody Rhodes finally is Cody Rhodes again. Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin. This match was for the TNT Championship. In terms of a story, I would say that this was probably the second best story told match of the night. This was very, very, very good. Was it their best match together? I don't think so. Matter of fact, if I'm going to be quite honest with you, their second match on the January 1st edition of AEW Dynamite on New Year's Day, that match to open Dynamite, that was actually their best match together. So this match was still very good, but the second match, in my honest opinion, was their best matchup together. But this time, there was much more on the line. This was Darby's fourth crack at Cody, and this time it was for the TNT Championship. So, Darby, he showed a lot of defiance here in the beginning portions of this matchup. Cody tossed him out onto the ramp. Darby landed hard. Cody worked on the arm of Darby Allin, very methodical, very heelish, and this is one thing that I noticed. Cody's a very good babyface, but the heel tendencies that he shows when he works with guys like Darby Allin, I'm telling you right now, when Cody eventually turns heel, because you know it's coming. You know it's coming one of these days. Cody is eventually going to turn heel. Cody is eventually going to go on a heel run in All Elite Wrestling. You know for a fact that this guy is not going to stay babyface forever. Cody, when he turns heel, Cody is going to be an absolute masterful heel. Cody is going to be one hell of a fucking heel when he eventually makes that turn. And I'm telling you, he could be on MJF levels of heel territory if he wants to. That's how good of a heel he can play. And he showed that a lot in this match. Very arrogant, doing push-ups, working a very methodical pace. The facial expressions, you could see it. Cody Rhodes, you know there is a heel Cody Rhodes. There is a heel American Nightmare in there waiting to break out. And before Cody Rhodes retires in AEW, he is going to go on a heel run, and it is going to be absolutely fucking legendary. Just wait. But the heelish tactics, they're making me very excited for an eventual Cody Rhodes heel run. But back to the match, we had Cody targeting the arm. We had an arm-trapped middle rope power slam on Darby for a 2 count. We then had Cody missing the moonsault. Cody went for a moonsault, a beautiful moonsault. Looked like he glided through the air, like a motherfucking phoenix. So Cody missed the moonsault. Darby Allin took over control. Darby Allin hit a beautiful code red for a 2. Cody and Darby, they brawled on the top rope. Cody Rhodes hit an avalanche crossroads. Yes, an avalanche crossroads. Darby Allin landed hard. Darby then rolled all the way to the other side of the ring. Cody covered Darby, but Darby's arm was underneath the bottom rope, so the ref had to stop the count. So the ref stopped the count. Cody was then caught in a sleeper hold by Darby Allin, and the only way that Cody could break it up was him climbing to the top rope, and he fell back with a piggyback-like stunner, and Darby Allin rolled out of the ring. Darby was on the outside. Cody was going to take the count-out victory, but Darby got back into the ring by the count of 9. 9. Darby Allin is back into the ring. Cody is visually getting frustrated. You could see it in his face. Cody then went for a disaster kick. Darby Allin countered the disaster kick, grabbed the legs, and he locked in the Last Supper. But Cody just barely kicked out. Cody was able to wriggle out of the Last Supper. Darby Allin with the over-the-top stunner. And then Darby Allin goes up to the top. And he hits the coffin drop. He gets all of the coffin drop. 1, 2. Cody kicks out. Darby Allin is frustrated. And then they start trading back and forth roll-ups. We go Cody. We go Darby. 1, 2. kick out. 1, 2, reversal. 1, 2, reversal, reversal. Darby Allin then gets the final roll up, and Darby Allin gets the tight roll up, hooks the legs. 1, 2, 3, and Darby Allin defeats Cody. Yes, Darby Allin beats Cody Rhodes at Full Gear, and Darby Allin is the new TNT Championship in a very, very, very good championship match here in the middle of the card. Now, this was a huge surprise to me. I think, if anything, this was probably the shock of the night to many. I had it in my mind that they specifically took the TNT Championship off of Brody Lee and they gave it back to Cody to extend the feud, because if Brody Lee would have won that match, A, nobody beating him would have been believable, and B, there was really nobody lined up for Brody Lee to face at Full Gear that would have been expendable, because I had it in my mind that Brody Lee wasn't losing the TNT Championship until next year. But realistically speaking, if you were going to give Darby Allin the championship, why didn't you just have Brody Lee retain against Cody? And why didn't you just have Brody Lee versus Darby Allin at Full Gear for the TNT Championship? But I had it in my mind that Brody lost because of those two reasons that I just named. And on top of that, they were looking to extend the feud to 1-1. And we were going to get a match at Full Gear between Cody and Brody. We were going to get a third match, and Brody Lee was going to win the title back. But then we had Darby Allin slide into the title picture. Now, I had it in my mind that no one was taking this title off of Cody except for Brody, because they kept on teasing Brody for weeks and weeks and weeks. The Dark Order was still lingering around Cody. And to be quite honest, they probably still are. Brody Lee is obviously coming back for that championship. But I had it in my mind that Brody Lee was going to come back either at Full Gear or after Full Gear, since Darby Allin was already challenging for the TNT Championship, and we were going to have Brody Lee be the one to take the title off of Cody and go 2-1 against Cody and end that feud. And then we would probably get Brody Lee versus Darby Allin at Revolution of next year, and that's when Darby Allin would win the TNT Championship. But Darby Allin shocks the world. Darby Allin wins the TNT Championship, finally gets a victory over Cody, and he is now a champion in All Elite Wrestling. Well fucking deserved for Darby Allin. What a way to end the year for Darby Allin. Darby Allin is officially a superstar. Darby Allin is officially a made man. Darby Allin is officially All Elite. We can say that for sure. Now, where do Cody and Darby go from here? I do believe that Darby is going to do his own thing now with the TNT Championship. As far as Cody, Brody is still coming back. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure exactly why they took the title off of Brody, if they were just going to give it to Cody to put over Darby. If anything, having Brody put over Darby would have been better. I'm not sure if they have a bigger plan. I'm not sure if Brody Lee is injured. If anything, I can definitely see Brody coming back, and we could possibly be looking at a Blood and Guts match. Remember Blood and Guts we were supposed to get back in March before this pandemic? I was actually slated to go to Blood and Guts. I was actually slated to be in the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey for Blood and Guts. And I was going to see the Inner Circle versus the Elite. That didn't happen. That did not happen. And it doesn't look like that the Inner Circle versus the Elite is going to happen anyway, as we already got the Stadium Stampede. So if anything, we could be looking at Blood and Guts with Cody and the Nightmare Family versus the Dark Order. We could possibly see Brody Lee, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Stu Grayson, and Evil Uno versus Cody, QT, Dustin, and the Gun Club. And we could see that possibly somewhere between now and Revolution. Maybe we see that at the start of the new year. I don't know. It depends when Brody Lee comes back. But you know that Brody Lee is not going to allow Cody to slide. They're 1-1. They can't just end the feud there. So Brody Lee is eventually coming back to exact his revenge on Cody, and we're probably eventually looking forward to Brody Lee versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Does Brody Lee take the title back? I don't know. And if he does take the title back, then it would be rather counterproductive. We don't know what's going on with Brody. We don't know if he's off television for storyline purposes or whether he is off television because of an injury. Nothing has been disclosed, so we are left scratching our heads. We are just left with assumptions. But I definitely see a blood and guts match with the Nightmare Family and the Dark Order somewhere down the line, because that feud's been going on since August. Especially with Anna Jay. Maybe Anna Jay joins in. Maybe we get Brody Lee, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, John Silver, and Anna Jay. And then we get Brandy, Cody, Dustin QT, and then maybe Orange Cassidy. Maybe Orange Cassidy joins Cody and the Nightmare Family. Maybe that's your blood and guts. Now, I don't know, but I can definitely see a blood and guts of some sorts happening between the Dark Order and the Nightmare Family. Because Brody Lee, there's no way that Brody's going to let Cody slide. Brody's going after Cody first, because Cody's the one that took the title from him. So he's exacting his revenge on Cody first, then he's coming for Darby Allin in the TNT Championship. And then after the match, we had Cody getting down on one knee and presenting the TNT Championship to Mr. Darby Allin. But then afterwards, we had Taz coming out, told him to get their bitch asses to the back. And then afterwards, Team Taz, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, then attacked Cody and Darby. We had Cage carrying Darby into the crowd area. Cody tried to help. Cody was then neutralized by Ricky Starks, and Cage threw Darby through the Full Gear set piece. Then we had Cage throwing Darby onto Darby's car, in which he came in. And then Will Hobbs came in to save Darby Allin, because they were going to crush Darby Allin's arm in between the car door. So thankfully, Will Hobbs saved Darby Allin there. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure if Will Hobbs is going to join Team Taz. I'm not sure how long that the feud between Team Taz and Darby Allin is going to last. We could potentially see Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. We could possibly see Matt Hardy and or Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. But Darby Allin, I see doing his thing as the TNT Champion away from Cody. Cody has his business caught up with Mr. Brody Lee and the Dark Order, as I do believe we will get a blood and guts match between those two factions. But this was a very good match right here. Great moment for Darby. Well-deserved. Darby Allin is the new TNT Champion. Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose. This was for the AEW Women's World Championship. Listen. Was the match bad? No. I'm not going to sit here and shit all over the match. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Nyla Rose is a terrible wrestler, because she's not. I'm not going to tell you that Sheeta's a terrible wrestler, because she's not. I'm not going to tell you this match was sloppy. I'm not going to tell you that this match sucked. I'm not going to tell you that this match shouldn't have been on the card. I'm not going to tell you that this was the worst women's match in AEW history. I'm not going to shit all over this match like some fucking idiot would. I'd be an idiot if I were to tell you that this were a bad wrestling match. The in-ring aspect between Shida and Nyla was not the problem here. The match itself was not a bad wrestling match. The problem here is the fact that, A, you placed this card. You placed this card out the way that you did, and you placed this match in the middle of the card right after Cody and Darby, Silver and Cassidy, and Omega and Paige. So you had 3 great matches back to back to back, and then you put this match which does not have any story going into it other than the fact that Nyla Rose is ranked number 1, so by a technicality, she is the number 1 contender. This match was made on a technicality because Nyla Rose is ranked number 1. This match actually received more of a build-up on Dark than it did on Dynamite. So by a technicality, this match is taking place, number 1. Number two, there is an so-glaring issue, an oh-so-big glaring issue with the fact that the women's division in AEW is so poorly booked, and you literally have no one outside of 5 or 6 people. And you have to spend some time. You have to spend some time building up some new stars and giving some new stars television time. So, by default, you have no build, no story. The match was made on a technicality. The division is poorly booked, and you placed this match smack dab in the middle of the card right after 3 great matches. The same mistake that you made with Chris Statlander and Nyla Rose all the way back at Revolution of 2020, when you placed that match directly after that tag team classic with the Bucks and Hangman and Omega. This match was automatically doomed to fail. This match was doomed to fail. This match was doomed to fail. This match was looked at as a bathroom break, and little to no one was invested in this match. And it's neither Shida nor Nyla's fault. It's neither of their faults. Because both of these women worked their asses off in the ring. It was physical, it was intense, it was hard-hitting. The in-ring aspect was not bad whatsoever. But the fact that you have a shit division, you place this right in the middle of the card after 3 great matches, and you had little to no story going into this match, and it got little to no build, little to no one was invested in it. And that was the main problem. Was it a bad match? Absolutely not. But it will ultimately go down as the bathroom break match. It will ultimately go down as the weakest match of the pay-per-view. And again, that is not a knock on either Shida nor Nyla, because both women did what they could. But little to no one cared because of the reasons I just named. So they went right after each other, right out of the gate. Shida used her quickness with a couple of running knee strikes to Nyla's head. We had Shida with a running knee, launched herself off the chair. Nyla was sent through the barricade. That actually looked pretty good. After that, we had Vicky Guerrero behind the referee's back, hitting Shida in the leg with the kendo stick that Shida comes out to the ring with. The referee did not see it. So Nyla targeted the leg of Shida, as she should. Nyla fighting smart. Nyla missed the diving senton. Shida then with a brainbuster on Nyla for a 2. Shida showcased a lot of her power here. She was actually able to pick up Nyla a lot in this match. So that's actually a testament to how strong Shida really is. Nyla then draped Shida over the rope, and this I actually liked. This was actually a very nice told story. So the story in the match, the story that they told in the match was very, very nice. The match itself wasn't bad, but like I said, no one cared because of the reasons I just named. But the story told in the match was very nice. Nyla draped Shida over the rope, and instead of doing the diving knee off the top to the head, she did the diving knee off the top to the injured leg of Shida. So I actually gotta praise Nyla right there. Nyla fighting very, very smart, targeting that knee. So that got a 2 count. Shida then with a drop kick to Nyla Rose out on the ramp. Shida then with a drop kick to Nyla in the ring. Shida only got a 2 count there. She then Nyla hit a power bomb. She did not cover. She then hit a running knee, the Tamashi, but Shida kicked out at 1. Shida then with a running knee strike in the corner. And then we had an avalanche Falcon Arrow, but then Shida picked up Nyla's head, similar to what Nyla did earlier on in the matchup. Shida picked up Nyla's head, and Shida went for the Tamashi, but Vicky Guerrero grabbed Shida's leg. Vicky was then accidentally run over by Nyla. Shida tried to take advantage with a Falcon Arrow, but Nyla kicked out. A very weak kick out. We had a Tamashi, but Nyla still kicked out. We had a second, a third, and a fourth Tamashi. One after the other, and Shida eventually pinned Nyla's shoulders down to the mat, and she retains the AEW Women's World Championship. Physical match, but because of poor placement and a poorly booked division, there was no investment. And it will ultimately go down as a bathroom break match. It wasn't bad, but AEW absolutely needs to focus more on their women's division. They need to focus on generating story. They need to focus on generating interest. They need to focus on generating more investment. And they need to focus on better built feuds in the division, because all of that rolled up into one killed this match. And the fact of the matter is, it wasn't a bad match at all. Shida retains the AEW Women's World Championship, rightfully so. Shida is the best wrestler in the division. There is no reason why she should not be the AEW Women's World Championship. Matter of fact, Shida should go into 2021 with that championship. She is going to Revolution with that championship, and we are getting Shida and Britt Baker for that championship, with Britt Baker walking out victorious. Afterwards, we had Vicky Guerrero yelling at Nyla. She slapped her, and she left her in the ring, and it looks like the Vicious Vixens are no more. So after that, we get what was the match of the night for many, including me, FTR versus the Young Bucks. This was for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. This was absolutely fucking excellent. Fantastic shit. This was a damn near perfect match. The only thing that was missing was an arena full of 20,000 screaming fans. 1,000 fans is fine, but that full arena feel, that full arena atmosphere with all the screaming fans and 20,000 screaming fans chanting and yelling and raving, that is what really makes a match perfect. But this was probably the second best tag team match of the year, the first being the Bucks versus Hangman and Kenny all the way back at Revolution of this year. If this had a full-blown crowd, this would have been a 5-star classic. This was a 4.75 star match. This close to being perfect. This close. So, Dax Harwood, he accidentally punched the ring post, and Matt and Nick targeted the injured hand of Dax. Matt repeatedly kicked it. Matt Jackson was then isolated. His injured leg was the target of FTR, rightfully so. They kept Matt away from his brother. We actually had a big superplex by Dax, but Matt got his knees up as Cash went for the splash. We had a DDT by Jackson on Dax, and Matt Jackson eventually made the hot tag to his younger brother, Nick Jackson. Best hot tag in the business, by the way. Best hot tag in the business. So, Nick Jackson lit up FTR with some spin kicks. We had a clothesline bulldog combination, taking out Dax Harwood and Wheeler on the outside. We then had Nick on the receiving end of a heart attack by FTR. So this is where the generations of tag teams that inspired teams like the Bucks and FTR, this is where they started to come into play. We had a heart attack being utilized by FTR, but Nick was able to kick out. We then had Matt tagging in misdirection spear by Matt, and then a running knee strike by Nick. That only got a 2 count. We had FTR pulling out a Steiner Brothers electric chair bulldog combination, but Matt stayed alive. We had a super kick on Dax. We had a 3D on Cash. Yes, the Dudley Boys. 3D on Cash Wheeler. We had a Twist of Fate and Swanton Bomb combination. So now the Hardy Boys and the Dudleys, the teams that inspired the Bucks, they started to come into play. We had the Swanton Twist of Fate combination, but that only got a 2 count on Dax. We had a slingshot powerbomb on Nick Jackson by Dax Harwood. Cash Wheeler was taken out. Matt Jackson with a crucifix pin on Dax for a 2.99999 count. This close it was. We then had FTR with the meeting in the middle, the tribute to DIY, tribute to what was the match of the year in 2016. Matt still stayed alive, surprisingly so. Nick Jackson then with a senton on Wheeler on the stage, rolling senton off the top. Matt with a sharpshooter on Dax. Dax then got to the ropes. Nick super kicked the hand. We then had a double sharpshooter. Matt could not hold on to the submission because his leg gave out. So obviously he's still selling the leg. Matt Jackson then snapped the fingers of Dax Harwood, Pete Dunne style. We then had the BTE trigger. But Wheeler broke up the pin this close. Nick Jackson then with the Escalator Plancha. And he took out Cash. Matt then brought in a chair. Nick was up on the apron telling him, no, don't use the chair, don't use the chair. Nick was then setting up for the Meltzer driver. The Meltzer driver on Dax before Cash came in and powerbombed Nick. Wheeler powerbombed Nick onto the timekeeper's table, and then we had the spike pile driver, the mind breaker, but Matt was able to get his foot on the rope. I thought FTR were going to retain the titles right then and there. I thought they were going to win the titles right then and there, but Matt got his foot on the rope. So the boot was taken off. They took off Matt's boot and worked on the injured leg. We then had a leg breaker and a figure four leg lock, an inverted figure four leg lock. Nick with a 450 on Dax Harwood to break it up, which looked great. Absolutely loved it. Matt then covered Dax Harwood, and I thought he was going to do it, but Dax kicked out at 2. The Bucks then tried to reevaluate, and Wheeler came in with a super kick. So Dax was taken out. Wheeler tagged in. Wheeler was the legal man. Wheeler with a super kick to Nick. Wheeler then took out Matt. And this was fucking crazy right here. Wheeler went to the outside, and he does a springboard 450. Yes, an FTR member. They took a detour away from their game plan. We had Wheeler doing a beautiful springboard 450 at that. It looked picture perfect. If he would have landed it, it would have been fucking great. A spectacular, I can't even get the fucking words out. Spectacular springboard 450 by Wheeler. Beautifully done, but he missed. Matt Jackson then hit the super kick and just falled into the cover. 1, 2, 3. And the Young Bucks win the AEW World Tag Team titles in an absolute fucking classic. If this would have had a live crowd of 20,000 people, I am telling you, this would have been your match of the year. This was absolutely fucking incredible. This was great shit all around, and I don't understand how anyone could say anything negative. If you are saying anything negative about this, regardless of the fucking outcome, if you are saying anything negative about this match whatsoever, you are an absolute fucking idiot. You do not deserve to call yourself a wrestling fan, and I'm telling you right now, I have absolutely no respect for you whatsoever. I don't give a shit. I don't respect anybody. What am I saying? But back to my point. This was an excellent match. Now, a lot of people are questioning the outcome, and I was actually questioning the outcome for just a little bit, but I did recall something that I reported. I reported a little news article of FTR having an interview in which they said that AEW is not the end game. I believe it was in the beginning of July that this interview was. The interview was at the beginning of July, and FTR, they were going on and on about how they want to challenge themselves and they want to work with other teams. They mentioned the Gorillas of Destiny from New Japan Pro Wrestling. They mentioned the North from Impact Wrestling. So I can imagine that before they made their debut, they must have sat down with the Bucks. They probably sat down with Tony Khan, more EVPs, and they were like, hey, listen, This is what we want to do. We don't just want to be restricted. And more likely than not, they came to an agreement, and they realized, meaning the Bucks and Tony Khan, they realized that FTR, hey, they want to do other projects. They want to challenge themselves. They want to go all over the world, and they want to face some of the best tag teams in the world. They don't just want to be restricted to AEW, which you can't blame them for. They want to go out there and challenge themselves. They want to face some of the best tag teams in the world. They want to face the North. They want to face the Guerrillas of Destiny. So be it. And I have a feeling that really played into not only the outcome of the match, but the fact that they put this match on Full Gear in a pandemic era. Because I had it in my mind that they were going to wait until next year when we can have full capacity crowds back, and we could have a full-blown crowd of 20,000 people to see FTR and the Bucks. And that's when the Bucks were going to win the championship. But it seems as though they specifically made this match, they fast-tracked the titles onto FTR after 3 months, and then after 5 months, 6 months, they fast-tracked FTR and the Young Bucks on Full Gear in the middle of a pandemic era, specifically because FTR, they have other projects on their mind. And this outcome, especially with the tweet that Dax Harwood tweeted out after the match while the pay-per-view was still going on, the fact that it almost sounded like a goodbye for now tweet. It almost sounded like a goodbye for now tweet. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it almost sounded like FTR was taking a break from All Elite Wrestling. It almost seems like FTR in 2021, they want to carry out their other projects. Maybe we do see FTR go to Impact. Maybe that's why the North won the Impact World Tag Team titles back at Bound for Glory. Maybe that's why the North won the Impact World Tag Team titles back. Maybe we see FTR in the North for the Impact Tag Team titles. Maybe we see FTR in Impact Wrestling. Maybe we see FTR in New Japan Pro Wrestling by the spring and the summer of 2021. Maybe we see that. Maybe we see FTR going to other promotions and challenging themselves, working with other tag teams. That could potentially be the reason why we got this outcome, because they didn't want to wait. They didn't want to wait all these months for FTR to finally come back to All Elite Wrestling after they're finished doing other projects with New Japan and Impact just to get a match with the Young Bucks. So instead, they fast-tracked the Young Bucks and FTR at Full Gear in the middle of a pandemic era of wrestling just to get the match out of the way, because they know that FTR is leaving in 2021 for the time being to do other projects. I'm not sure if you guys had that in your mind, but that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Now, regardless of that, it really is a shame. It's a shame to have FTR only get a 2-month title reign. I don't advocate for short title reigns. Matter of fact, I fucking hate it. I fucking hate short title reigns. No title reign should be under 100 days. But after FTR losing because they abandoned their game plan and they actually went for a flip, I can't even be mad. I legitimately can't even be mad after a match like that. And All Elite Wrestling, let me tell you something. They have done a really, really good job at not making me mad because I did not get my prediction right. They are actually doing a very good job at keeping me invested and keeping me happy, even when they have a short title reign with one of their superstars, and even if they have an outcome that not a lot of people were predicting, not a lot of people were expecting, and not a lot of people thought was the right outcome, but still, by the end of it, we are still smiling, and we are still very, very satisfied by what we've seen. But the Bucks are the new AEW World Tag Team Champions, and I do believe that that has a lot to do with the interview that FTR had months ago over the summer of 2020, where they said they wanted to work with other tag teams. So they fast-tracked FTR to the titles, and they fast-tracked the Bucks and FTR on a pay-per-view for the titles, and they gave the titles to the Bucks. They had the match. It was a classic. They gave the titles to the Bucks, and now we're going to get FTR going forth and doing other projects. So we'll see what happens. But it really does, to me, seem like that FTR may be going off to do other things, and they may be leaving All Elite Wrestling for the time being, and they merely came to All Elite Wrestling just to challenge themselves, face some of the best tag teams in the world, and get this match with the Young Bucks out of the way. So, we'll see what happens, but the Young Bucks are the new AEW World Tag Team Champions, and whoever takes those titles off of the Young Bucks is going to be a lot better off, and I can definitely see it being Jurassic Express, because they are a pure natural babyface tag team. I see Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus winning those titles off the Young Bucks in 2021. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. This was the Elite Deletion. This was very, very, very entertaining. Matt Hardy is one of the best creative minds in all of pro wrestling right now, right behind Bray Wyatt. So, you got to give him a lot of credit here. Matt Hardy did an excellent job. You can imagine that Sammy Guevara definitely had a hand in it, and I was a bit skeptical. A lot of people were a bit skeptical, and a lot of people were not expecting Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara to have this match, considering how shitty their past matches have gone and how the feud has almost been cursed, which they actually made light of in the Elite Deletion here. They actually made light of that. But by the end of it, we got a great ending. We got the right man walking out victorious, and both of these two, both Sammy and Hardy, should be very proud by the end of it. So Sammy came in. He came to the Hardy family compound in a golf cart. Matt ran him over with a monster truck. Matt then said that was orgasmic. So obviously playing up to the broken gimmick. So Sammy and Matt, they then brawled into the woods onto Matt's front lawn. We had Hardy pulling out a scepter from a fountain. He started beating Sammy with it. He took Sammy to the backyard ring. Hardy then brought out a table and powerbombed Sammy through a table before Santana and Ortiz. They then attacked Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy then pulled out a walkie-talkie from underneath the ring and rang in Private Party. So Private Party came in and they neutralized Proud and Powerful. Matt Hardy then brought out some projectile fireworks and started firing them at Sammy into the night. Sammy then lit his own projectile fireworks, and we had a little bit of trench warfare between Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara with the projectiles. So we had Private Party with a little poetry in motion. So they took out Proud and Powerful. Hardy then started hitting Sammy with the projectile fireworks. He hit a twist of fate, but then out of nowhere we had Gangrel. Yes, the Brood, vampire, drinking blood Gangrel, using Shane Helms, Hurricane Helms was tied up, and he bribed Hardy that he was going to hurt Shane Helms. So, Private Party then saved Shane Helms. They sent Gangrel packing, and then Shane Helms asked Hardy, where you been, man? It's been 2 years. What's up with that? So obviously referencing the Ultimate Deletion with Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy all those months ago, back in March of 2018, and Matt Hardy made light of the situation. He did a little jab at WWE and said, oh, well, I had to get to AEW to finish this. So Guevara ended up blocking a twist of fate, hitting a super kick on Hardy. Hardy then super kicked Helms into the Lake of Reincarnation. Gangrel and Hurricane Helms then brawled with Proud and Powerful and Private Party. Sammy and Matt, they then brawled into the Dome of Deletion. Sammy then unscrewed a turnbuckle and he choked out Hardy with the ropes. We then had Sammy placing Hardy on a table. And Sammy went up to the top of a ladder that reached all the way up to the ceiling of the Dome of Deletion, and he did a beautiful swanton bomb off the ladder through a table, but Hardy kicked out. We then had a twist of fate by Hardy. Hardy then speared Sammy off of the apron through a table. Sammy's head was bleeding. Yes, Sammy's head was bleeding like a stuck pig. Sammy's head was pouring blood. Hardy then did to Sammy what Sammy did to Hardy, and Hardy threw a chair at Sammy. Hardy then threw a chair at Sammy, and then he said, "Look at what you made me. Look at what I've become." And he did a concerto to Sammy Guevara and crushed Sammy's skull. Hardy then pinned Sammy Guevara for the 1, 2, 3. And Matt Hardy wins the Elite Deletion afterwards. Private Party then placed Sammy in a garbage pail. And then we had Senor Benjamin driving him away as Rebby Hardy played the piano. And that was that. This was very, very, very entertaining. Definitely made up for the various amounts of shitty cinematic matches that we've seen. This was undoubtedly the perfect way to end the feud. Sammy was very, very good in this. Matt Hardy was very good in this. A lot of LOL moments. And by the end of it, Matt Hardy finally gets his vengeance on Sammy Guevara. This feud finally is over. And now, I do believe that we can finally move on to something bigger and better for both Sammy and Matt. I do see Matt Hardy potentially challenging Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. I think that would be a very, very intriguing matchup between Matt Hardy and Darby Allin. Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin, that would also be a very intriguing matchup. Sammy and Darby, they had a couple of great matches this year, and I believe that if you want to, you can revisit that, and you could have another great match between Sammy and Darby for the TNT Championship. Either way, I do believe that both of these men are destined to be facing off for the TNT Championship one day. Sammy, I can definitely see going into a feud with Maxwell Jacob Friedman, especially considering what happened in the next match, which we're going to talk about right now, which is Chris Jericho versus MJF. If MJF wins, he joins the Inner Circle. Now, I'm going to be quite honest here. This match was actually a lot better than I expected in terms of an in-ring aspect. I was not expecting this match to be this good, but this was actually a very, very, very good match. A very old-school wrestling match. Both of these two actually gelled very, very nicely together. For two heels, and I say this all the time, it is very, very hard to make a heel versus heel dynamic work, but these two made it work very, very well. This was a very, very good match right here. We had MJF and Jericho brawling on the outside. Jericho accidentally hit the Judas effect on the post. MJF targeted the arm like the slide dog that he is. Jericho with 2 shoulder tackles, big diving axe handle from the top. Jericho with a lion salt connecting perfectly, and then he hit a big Frankensteiner off the top. That only got a 2 count on MJF. MJF then with the double stomp to the injured arm. We then had the walls of Jericho getting locked in, but MJF was able to get to the bottom rope. Jericho was then caught up in the ropes, and MJF hit a code breaker. Yes, MJF with a code breaker. And then he hit the heat seeker. Jericho's head spiked into the mat, but Jericho kicked out at 2. So then MJF took advantage, locked in the Salt of the Earth, the Fujiwara armbar. Salt of the Earth, but Jericho was able to get to the ropes. Now, this match was going straight down the middle up until this point. At this point, Wardlow decided to take advantage, and he gave MJF the Dynamite Diamond Ring while distracting the ref. Jericho then was tossed Floyd the Bat, by Mr. Jake Hager, who was on the outside. We then had MJF seeing this, and he laid down Eddie Guerrero style. The ref turned around, Aubrey Edwards turned around, and she saw Jericho with the bat, and she was about to say something. She was about to disqualify him. MJF then came to out of nowhere, and he rolled up Chris Jericho. 1, 2, 3, and MJF beats Chris Jericho. MJF outsmarts Chris Jericho. He beats Chris Jericho at his own game. And then afterwards, Jericho hugged MJF, and he said, "Welcome to the Inner Circle. MJF and Wardlow are officially part of the Inner Circle. So, I thought this ending was great. I thought they did a very good job with the ending. And like I said before, Jericho and MJF, they gelled very, very, very nicely together. And if anything, I wouldn't mind seeing another match between the two down the line. And to be quite honest, that could be one of the routes that we're getting. There's multiple routes they could go with this. And no one knows where they're going. And the unpredictability factor is what makes this storyline even better. We don't know what is to come. No one was predicting Le Dinner Debonair to end in a fucking Broadway musical. So, we don't even know what's to come next between these two men. Could we see Jericho going away and MJF being the temporary leader? Could we see Sammy Guevara and MJF going into a program possibly with MJF and Sammy Guevara facing off with the loser being kicked out of the Inner Circle? Could we see MJF destroy the Inner Circle from within? Jericho comes back to find the Inner Circle in shambles, and we get another match between the two. There's a lot of routes that they can go with this, but the fact that no one knows, I think that makes this even better. This was a very, very good old school wrestling match. These two work very well together. MJF gets the win. MJF has had probably the best year out of anyone in AEW not to win a championship. And that is definitely saying something. I am very, very, very much looking forward to seeing what MJF and Jericho do in the coming weeks and months. And then in the main event, we got Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. This was an I Quit match for the AEW World Championship. This match was fucking brutal. Was it as brutal as the Lights Out Unsanctioned match in the main event of last year's Full Gear? No. Still brutal. Still a very good main event. But in no way, shape, or form was it up to code to what Omega and Moxley did. That was on another fucking level of brutality. But this was still a very brutal match. And this was still a very, very good match right here between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. Played up to both men's strengths right here. Moxley and Kingston, they went right after each other. Eddie took down Moxley. He brought in chairs. He then had Moxley, he brought out a barbed wire baseball bat, and he hit Kingston with it. A couple times across the stomach, a couple times across the backs, and then he raked it across Kingston's face. Kingston then fought back and gave Moxley 2 backdrop drivers. Kingston then wrapped some barbed wire. He took barbed wire off of the bat and wrapped it around his fist and started bludgeoning Moxley in the face with the barbed wire wrapped around his fucking fist. Guy's a fucking maniac. Moxley did not quit. After Kingston hit the spinning back fist and applied a Kimura lock. Moxley did not quit. Moxley then with a suplex on Kingston through 2 chairs. Kingston did not quit. He then brought out a bag, and what was inside the bag? Of course it was fucking thumbtacks. So, Moxley then with a German suplex on Kingston. Kingston fought out of it, hit a backdrop driver. Moxley fought out of that, hit a lariat, and both men are down. Moxley was going for a powerbomb on Kingston onto the thumbtacks, but Kingston fought out of it and hit a Uranagi to Moxley on the thumbtacks. Moxley was pierced with at least 40 thumbtacks. Moxley did not quit, though. So Moxley did not quit. Moxley then fought through the pain, hit a pile driver and a paradigm shift. Eddie did not quit. So at this point, Moxley's like just saying, just give up. And Eddie Kingston, He wasn't even looking at Moxley. Eddie Kingston just flips Moxley off. And Moxley's like, whatever. Wraps barbed wire around his forearm and applies the bulldog choke with the barbed wire on his arm. Barbed wire piercing into Eddie Kingston's neck and chin. Bulldog choke with the barbed wire around his arm. And Kingston was forced to say, I quit. This shit was fucking brutal. This was excellent. Great storytelling right here between Moxley and Kingston. It was pretty fucking crazy. Well, it was even so crazy to a point where before all of this even happened, Kingston actually poured rubbing alcohol on Moxley's back while the tacks were still in his fucking back. So that was fucking brutal there. That was fucking brutal there. We also had tacks punctured into Moxley's fucking head. So shit got brutal really, really quick. But in the end, it was a bulldog choke with the barbed wire wrapped around the arm, with the barbed wire going into the chin and the neck, that forced Eddie Kingston to say, I quit. And he was crying when he said, I quit. Kingston was then helped up by Moxley, and Kingston then walked out on his own. Omega then came out to have a face-off with Moxley before leaving, and Moxley stood tall to end the show. Awesome main event. Awesome main event. Great storytelling. Great shit. I did not think that Eddie Kingston was actually going to say, I quit. Matter of fact, Stevie, my man Stevie, he actually pitched the idea, two ideas, of Kingston either saying, I quit with his blood, or having Kingston's mother there in the crowd, and Kingston's mother tells him to say, I quit. But Kingston ended up saying, I quit on his own accord because he could not take the pain from the bulldog choke. So this was a brutal fucking match right here, and Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley coming out to have a face-off with each other. It's going to be a very, very, very intriguing build towards their eventual match, which I do believe is taking place next month sometime, and we are going to see Omega as the new champion, and that is how Full Gear went off the air. Undoubtedly the best pay-per-view of the pandemic era. Very well could be the best pay-per-view of the year. Was it the best AEW pay-per-view of all time? I don't think so. I still do believe that Full Gear of 2019 holds the luxury of being the best AEW pay-per-view of all time. If this had a full-blown crowd, I think this would have been the best AEW pay-per-view of all time. But thus far, this was the best pay-per-view of the pandemic era and the best AEW show of the year. Definitely made up for the lackluster all-out pay-per-view. That wasn't a terrible show. It was a decent show, but there was a lot more negative on that show than there was on this show. Very few blips on this show, but the blips did not overshadow the overwhelmingly positive that we got from everyone. Everyone brought everything to the table here, and everyone that was a part of this pay-per-view should be very, very, very proud of themselves. You can definitely hang your hat on this. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rewind. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, and, of course, like the official DJ Storms business page, and all of that. Check out the Lightning Flash update if you missed it. I got a busy week ahead of me again. It just never fucking stops. I should definitely get some sleep. I should definitely focus more on my college work as well. I got some finals coming up. I got a doctor's appointment. Of course, the Lightning Flash update will be on Saturday, as always, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be right here. I'll be live tweeting for Monday Night Raw tonight. I'll be live tweeting for AEW. I'll be live tweeting for NXT UK as well. I'll be live tweeting for NXT UK. This time I can finally watch NXT UK. I'm actually off of work on Thursday, so I'll be live tweeting for NXT UK, and I'll be live tweeting for SmackDown on Fox as well. So please, 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 please join me. Join me. I love you. I greatly appreciate all your support. And I am truthfully humbled to have such a great fan base. Please, 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 please join me in tweeting. I love interacting with the fans. I hope all of you have a very great week. I will see you on Saturday. I will see you on the Twitter sticks. I'll see you on Instagram. I'll see you on Facebook. I'm DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind. You guys take it easy. You guys wear your masks. Keep social distancing. Stay safe. You got any questions for me? Be sure to hit me up. You want to collaborate with me? Be sure to hit me up. And I will catch you guys tonight for Monday Night Snore, a.k.a. Monday Night Raw.